Hopefully you got to have a nice discussion about names and maybe you learned something new about someone that you didn't know about their name. So now, one thing I want you to keep in mind is that your story matters. And so with your name, embrace your identity and who you are and reflect on what it might mean when people use your name and they think about who you are because you're a special person. So now we're going to think about some of the common names you may use every day. Now, they're not all listed here, but here are some that many of us use every day. We have mom, dad, Miss Bandy, Mrs. Bradshaw, Mr. Albright, Mr. Dazan. And when we think about these names and we use them, we call on those people, we use them when we talk about them to other people, I want you to think about how do we honor and dishonor these people with our speech and the way we talk about that person? If you were to look at all the ways you use that name in a day, would that be in a way that you see more as honoring that person or dishonoring that person? And again, that can be a friend, that can be just somebody in your classroom, that can be somebody you're really close to. So we're going to think about that. And let's think of examples of ways that we can honor somebody's name and how sometimes we end up dishonoring someone's name. And some are more intentional than others. So let's look. Here are some examples. Some ways we can honor people are by telling others about their good deeds, saying, this person did this today and it was so wonderful and I'm so thankful for that person. We can tell them directly how much we appreciate them. Mom, dad, thank you for everything you are. Thank you for all the sacrifices you make for me and that sort of thing. Even when we use the proper title for somebody, instead of saying, hey man, it's addressing them as Mr. or addressing a lady as Mrs. and just showing that we give that respect based on who they are in relation to us. And some cultures take that very seriously. And now, what about ways we might dishonor other names? When we gossip behind their back to other people, when we call them a different name, sometimes even a name that's disrespectful or not honoring, when we make fun of their name. And sometimes even when we pronounce somebody's name wrong, the first time it's okay, but when it happens again and again, that person might feel like you're not taking that extra effort to really fully recognize their name. And oftentimes that's tied with the culture that you're not as familiar with. And they might not say that, but keep that in mind as well, that really has a big effect on people. So again, let's think about how we use these names in our lives. And maybe that can be something we just reflect on. So now we come to our main point, the most important name of all. God. And we're going to be looking at why is God's name important. So following along with the theme of our names, of the names of people we know, we're going to look at ways we associate names with God, what God is, what he means, things that he stands for. We've been looking at all these different descriptions of God. And this week we'll be looking at a lot of the names that are used to describe God. And so we're going to start with a video that talks about one of the words that we use to describe God, which is Yahweh. And there's going to be a little background history about that. And as we get into the week, we'll be discussing more and more about that. So let's go ahead and watch that video.